Hello. So today I'm going to give you a quick tour of our outside kiln yard, which we pretty much refer to as the gas kiln yard. So first things first, if you don't have a key to access the gas kiln yard, talk to our kiln boss. We have one that we communally share. It's pretty important to keep this locked up if we're not actively firing or monitoring the kiln. If you're going to be away from the studio for more than an hour while firing, we also want to lock it up. And I'll show you as we walk inside where we want to keep this lock. It can be tempting to hang it here, but please don't do that. We've had a few locks disappear, and we just want to keep it on the inside. So if you follow me, camera, I tend to like to just put it right over here. And that brings us to the next thing. So we have our lights here, and then whenever we're firing our kilns, we want to turn on this overhead fan, which just pulls in a little bit of extra air. And also when we're sweeping up in here and cleaning, we also want to have that on. So also, quick reminder about PPE. Whenever we are doing anything in here, even just coming out, you do not cross that gate unless you have closed-toed shoes. We talk about that as a policy throughout our studio. And it is especially important here in the gas kiln yard. So here in our gas kiln yard, we have two sort of categories of kilns. And that is an updraft kiln and a downdraft kiln. And then we have another category or subcategory that's called a cross-draft kiln. And our cross-draft kiln is going to be our soda kiln here. And I'll dive into that a little bit more in another video. This is our updraft kiln, and then we have two downdraft kilns. And I'll just quickly highlight how we can tell the difference between an updraft kiln and a downdraft kiln. So if we look inside here, we can see that there's no hole at the bottom. So our flames come in and straight out these holes at the top. And we control this opening by using a damper, which we'll talk about more in the firing video. And that is accessed here. So we move this back and forth to control the amount that those holes are open. If you'll follow me over to one of these kilns, I can show you how it's different. Okay. So looking in this kiln, we can see that there's an exit flue at the back as opposed to the top. So our flames come up through the bottom, hit the top, circulate down, and back out. Another important distinction to note is that we have this kiln here, which we can clearly see is a different design. And this is called a cart kiln. And these we would consider to be called front-loading kilns. And if we think about our electric kilns, those are called top loaders. So over here you can see these are our kiln posts that we use for any of the gas kilns. Sometimes we'll also use full bricks as posts in our gas kilns if we're stacking really large work. It's important to try and put things back in an organized fashion. Over here you can see where our shelves are. Cameras will follow, perfect. So these more square-shaped shelves are for our cart kiln, and these more rectangular 12 by 24s work for our front-loading updraft and downdraft kiln. It's really important to note that none of these kiln posts or these shelves should ever go into our soda kiln, and we'll talk about that later in the soda kiln video. Okay. So we have this little locker cabinet thing set up here. It's pretty well organized. You can see the tape labels. So there's a lot of useful things in here, such as maybe some small replacement parts if we need them for the kiln, as well as a hammer and chisel, which are useful for cleaning our kiln shelves after firing. But if you'll follow me, we also have over here our downdraft cleaning station that we bring the shop vac that's located in the electric kiln room and plug it into a little hole back here, which helps suck the dust down, run it through the filtration system if we're ever grinding kiln shelves or chiseling them off. And we'll cover cleaning kiln shelves in another video as well. And then in this container, you guys, if you can follow me, camera, you can see we have sand with its own screen. And some of the firing processes are really useful to have this sand, but we do want to keep out any kind of bits or wadding or chunks and stuff. So whenever we're taking sand off of the kiln shelves, it's really important to run it through this screen first. We also have our grinder here, which can be useful for cleaning up glaze drips or other things on our pots. It's important that you don't use this without being checked out on it first. So talk to a grad student or an instructor to make sure that we're all on the same page about best practices. Also, our trash can here may look small, and it is, and that's because our custodial staff does not service this. So it's really important, you know, for us to empty this regularly. The dumpster is right out front, and it's also a metal one. Please do not bring in a plastic trash can here. A lot of the times we'll be unloading hot kiln pieces or shards. Things will break. Students will put them into a plastic can and melt it. So small trash can, but we all just need to empty it regularly. And then also when we're firing, we want to take this sign and hang it up on the outside. And if you'll come close, camera, I can show you where that little chain is. And we want to flip it around so that it's very clear what we're doing in here and that only authorized personnel should be in here. So last and certainly not least, we've got our fire alarm over here. So if we have any kind of active fire situation or emergency that is, you know, beyond your ability to handle, and err on the side of caution, certainly, we could pull this. And then equally important over here is an emergency gas shutoff. So if we hit this red button, all of the gas lines will go totally off. So these are very important safety features to be aware of when we're operating in the gas kiln yard.